from our studios in Atlanta, this is Car Biz Today. And here now, Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hello everyone, happy Thursday to you. Thanks for joining me on CBT News. According to a study by Think with Google, 92% of car buyers conduct their own research online before they buy a car. This means that managing your dealership's online reputation is more critical now than ever before. Positive Google or Yelp reviews can affect your dealership's website traffic and ranking, leading to an increase or decrease in sales. To find out more about reputation management and the findings of the recent 2019 Automotive Reputation Report, we spoke with Joe Fuca, CEO of Reputation.com. Check it out. Welcome to CBT News, Joe.
Thanks. Good to be here, and happy Monday.
That's right. So walk us through the key findings of the 2019 Automotive Reputation Report that you guys have just recently completed.
Yeah, Jim, basically what we did is we took a look at 16,000 dealerships in the U.S.
That's almost all of them.
It is all of them. Well, I guess you could look at it. If they have an online presence, then we have them in the report, right?
And are just new car franchises or independents as well?
Independents, anybody who has an online view to the consumer.
Okay.
So really
in the automotive space. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Gotcha.
And so what we did is you'll see that we broke it down into many factors, of course. It could be brands, it could be groups, it could be large dealers versus small, it could be,
sure.
But it really is just U.S. only. And just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, as a company, our whole basis of the company was set up so that we can gather data on companies that have an online presence. So this isn't new to us in terms of being able to pull in 16,000 dealerships. And basically what the report does is it pulls together all of this data and then gives some valid and really important feedback back to the ownerships to see kind of where their strengths and weaknesses are.
Okay, great. Let's dive right in. What OEMs have the most successful reputation out there?
Well, okay, really interesting. So what's funny is that some people have sort of jumped on the let's dig in on Tesla family lately. Tesla ended up being second to last in our grouping.
Really?
And the funny thing is that, you know, as we all know, the CEO is pretty active when it comes to being online.
Sure.
And if you look at the reputation score of Tesla, it's second to last. And so that kind of jumps off the page, and we'll talk a little bit more later why that is. Some of the brands that did great were Lexus. They were number one.
Okay.
I think when you think of service and you think of that kind of, that nice welcoming that they give you as well as the follow-up.
Sure.
Remember, the key to this type of report is your engagement with your customers and the ability to not only answer their positive reviews, but also their negative reviews. And again, it's all about engagement with the customer. So really, both Lexus did really well, and then Tesla ended up second to last.
Okay. Who was last, by the way?
Last was Mitsubishi.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah.
But for some reason, no one's picking that up. But they're all kind of jumping in a little bit on the Tesla, just because it's more of an online scenario there. But
yeah. That is a
really,
shocker, though, because those people are pretty loyal to that brand, and they really have become huge fans. Or at least it seems, so that is somewhat of a shocker that they, would come in so low.
Well, we dug in a little deeper, and really at the end of the day, as you probably know, they have these places that you can go to buy, kind of like a studio, if you will.
Right.
But they don't really have a lot of your classic local dealerships where you can bring your car in for service.
That's
and
right.
So remember, this report is on 16,000 dealerships for both sales and service.
Okay.
And that's the key thing to remember.
Okay.
So I think Tesla's getting pulled down because they frankly don't answer reviews. And so when these consumers leave reviews on their service capability, their ability to be, short wait time when they leave the car, the ability to actually give them some analysis on what's going wrong with the car, they're getting really low marks there, not so much on the sales side, which I think you and I both know, there's like a cult following there. People love them.
Right.
But,
that's right.
But on the service side, not so. And so that's probably why they're ranking so low.
Okay. All right. And what about dealer groups? How are we doing in that area?
Well, when you think about dealer groups, this is where you get people that are like they kind of take it to another level in terms of reputation. Both Hendrick as well as AutoNation have been longtime customers of Reputation.com. Now, this report has nothing to do with us specifically. It really has to do with just how are these dealerships and groups and dealers doing with their consumers and how their customer satisfaction rating is.
Right.
We know because of our 5-year history with AutoNation and our 2-year history with Hendrick that they take the score really serious. And in fact, I think they're both quoted in this report about how they look at the reputation score every Monday morning as part of their executive team. And what's important to them is how each dealership's doing. And they kind of run a competition. And the competition basically is, how are we engaging our customers? What does that score look like week to week? And really remember, there's about 7 different things that influence the score, right? So it's number of reviews, it's the star ratings in the reviews, there's the recency of reviews, because you don't want it to be so old nobody could care less about what you did a year ago.
Well, what is the methodology of is it all online after a customer has either engaged their service department or taken delivery of a new or used vehicle? Is it immediate?
So
how does that walk me through that?
Well, think of any interaction that you have with a dealership, whether it's you buying a car or asking about what inventory they have, and the salesperson being straight with you.
So it's not even necessarily customers. These could be shoppers as well.
Oh, yeah. In fact, if you look at the sales experience, there's probably 30 to 40% of the negative reviews are non-buyers, right? Because they just didn't buy.
Yeah, and typically they're going to give you maybe a bad review because you didn't come down to the price that they wanted, and therefore they moved on.
Exactly. So they're moving on and they're leaving a bad review.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, the interesting thing is that all these different events matter to the dealership. So whether it's a dealer group or a dealership, that interaction is so personal and so important, not only on the sales side, but obviously on the service side.
Right.
What we do is we track about 9 different meters that matter. So how was it easy to find the dealership? Did they come up high on search rankings? How did they rank in terms of being able to find the dealership as well as the ranking together? All of that matters because
no question.
We need to make it super easy.
Yeah, you're dead on. I mean, a report like this and this kind of feedback for a dealer manager and dealer principal is vital because this is real world stuff. There's nothing. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? You're getting information directly from the consumer, not in real time, but sounds like it's pretty close to real time.
It is pretty close. All of it's real time in terms of reporting, and you can get it on an hourly basis or a daily basis. A lot of the dealerships will look at it every day.
Yeah.
They'll respond within hours of a positive or negative review.
Okay.
They'll also, remember, this also tracks all the social media interaction, right? So if I've got Twitter interactions, heck, I could have someone who's been sitting in the lobby waiting for their car tweeting the GM of the dealership.
Yeah. And
he wants to know about that right now. So they'll do social tracking and jump on it right now. So it's a very different approach than, like, let's say an example like JD Power with MPS, where they're doing sort of these studies on people that have either purchased or done service, where they'll do more of like a customer success index study, which could be, kind of a 25-page study on what that buying experience looked like, what could they do better. This is very different. This is online, unfiltered, right now kind of data. And really the kind of thing you want to do is sort of match I call it the unfiltered data. We call it data in the wild, which means you and me leaving our impressions online without being asked anything.
Right.
That's in the wild. And then there's structured data, which people have been doing for years, which is these sort of MPS studies, which are helpful and important, but they better match the unfiltered. Otherwise, you really don't know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. How does a dealer increase their reputation score?
Yeah, it really comes down. Yeah, it comes down to, so the reputation score, remember, is the index, almost like a FICO score from 0 to 1,000 in the industry. So what you want to do is increase your score, and the only way to increase your score is to look at those 9 metrics I told you about earlier and just make sure you're engaging and that you have a social media strategy.
Okay.
If those dealers don't have like a executive support to make sure that they're really following the reputation score and whether it's tracking up. I'll give you an example. So one of the big things that we found out of the report is we actually had raw sales data by dealership for up to 10,000 dealerships. And we didn't talk about which ones, we wanted to leave it, generic. But what we noticed is that the dealerships whose reputation score went up 5 to 6% over a year period, it was clear that the sales were going up somewhere in the 10 to 12% area. Okay. So as the rep score was going up, their sales were increasing. And as the rep score was going down in some cases, their sales were decreasing. So we have a pretty good study on that. And so it tracks, where people can actually really use that rep score to kind of tell them the health of not only what's going on with their customers, but also the health of their business.
Talk to us about the importance of reputation management in the overall customer experience strategy of a dealership. That's all we hear about today, is it's all about the customer experience, right? I mean, that really trumps everything. Low prices and easy, convenient locations and big, huge, dealerships that dealers are building. But it's really all about that customer experience, right? From the time they, click, call, or walk in the front door. How does this help that?
Yeah, I think if you look at the reputation management part of it, some of the strongest dealers since the beginning of time in auto have always put a real respect and almost honorability in being able to talk to that consumer about their experience. So even without a product that automates it, there's always been this sort of, GM presence where the general manager really wants his consumers to feel like they've been treated well. Yeah. And whether that's, a salesperson side, competence, reputation management comes in is where we can automate what they're saying about that sales experience or that service experience. And then we can actually dissect it. We use artificial intelligence because the amount of data coming in, just pick any big OEM and you're talking about millions and millions of points of interest, right?
Right.
And so you have to be able to gather all that data and then bring it up to a certain level. And in the report, it actually does that. It'll pull it up on customer service, on sales competency. We've even got an attribute called sales pressure tactics. And then on the service side, it's everything from quality of the person telling you exactly what, your car might have had a problem to what actually, what happened at the end state. So really important that we pull all that information up as we go through it for the OEM and as well as the dealership.
Joe Fuca, CEO of Reputation.com. I want to thank you so much for sharing these insights with us today on CBT News. I know our dealers will get a lot out of it. For dealers that are listening, as you know, it's all about your reputation nowadays. Check out Reputation.com, and I think you're going to like what you see. So thanks very much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jim. And if they want a copy of the Reputation Report, we'll obviously have a link, and we'll set it up to make it easy for them.
Thank you very much.
Great. Have a great day.
CBT Automotive Network, the #1 most watched network in retail automotive. This has been a JBF Business Media production.